This is the release video for the 0.12.10 release of the GURPS Game Aid for Foundry. Of course, this includes all the releases up to this point, too. I'm calling this the drag and drop release. We've got some really nice drag and drop features, simple things, but I think it will make you and your players' lives a little easier. Something we've been able to do, but I want to remind people, not everybody remembers that, is that you can save your modifier bucket into a macro. So I'm going to set up a special modifier bucket that Bog would use when he's been buffed by the cleric and he's defending for his life. So he's going to do an all-out defense. He's going to use the feverish defense, which will cost 1 fatigue point. And then down here on the right, I've even added a +2 cleric spell buff. So Bog wants to save this because he's going to use it again and again in certain situations. So you would drag from the modifier bucket into one of the macro slots, and it adds it as a macro. Some of the changes are that now the macro is a chat macro just using our chat commands. It used to be a script macro, a little bit harder to edit if you didn't know JavaScript. But now all of the commands in the chat macro are chat commands. Now here's where the new feature comes in. So normally Bog wants to set up these bonuses and then do a dodge. So you'd have to execute this macro, which gives you your modifier bucket, and then you go up here and click dodge and succeed at his dodge. Yay! And of course it cost 1 fatigue. But what you can do now is you can merge them together. So you already have this macro that contains all the modifiers. You take the dodge, drag it onto that modifier, and this dialog will come up. It'll ask you, do you want to merge them together, which is the top part, or just replace? Well, we want to merge. So now this macro does both. It sets up the modifiers and then rolls dodge. So if we execute that macro, it all works together. That's a pretty good macro. So I'm going to set the icon to it to Holy Shield because I think that looks pretty good right there. Now for some more drag and drop goodness, you can drag and drop in and out of the chat window. So it turns out Bog's going to get this +2 cleric spell buff a lot, and he'd like to be able to use that modifier. So instead of typing it in, he wants to save it in his quick note. Well, you can just grab it from the chat log, drop it over to the quick note, and you get a +2 cleric spell buff. Same thing if you're inside and you're just editing it right here, and you happen to drag over, it will put the on-the-fly formula directly in. The same thing mostly works for journals. You can't do it while you're editing. That's a bug or a feature of Foundry. They have their own special editor, and they don't allow drag and drops into that. But if you're not editing your journal entry, you can drag and drop stuff directly into it. So any on-the-fly formula can be drug into a journal, and then you can edit the journal and fix it up however you like. Okay, that's dragging out of the chat log, but you can also drag into the chat log. In the past, a GM could right mouse click on a skill and then copy it into the chat input and then press enter and then, okay, it's kind of messy. But now the GM can just drag it. So if let's say the new player doesn't know how to roll a skill, the GM can open up their character sheet, let's say carousing, and just drag the carousing skill into the chat log area, and it'll just put the button out there. You can also drag any on-the-fly formula, here I'll drag this attack, into the chat text window, and you'll see the text that should go there in case you want to edit it. But if you just drag the skill itself, you drop it in, boom, there. Now you got a button that the players can roll. Okay, this next drag and drop feature is for people who generate Moocs using the Mook generator. Now remember, if you don't like the default values that are filled into the fields, then you open up the system settings and click on the Mook generator default editor, and then you type in what you want normally. You may want to just be empty. I have stuff in there because I do a lot of testing, but so I've got a Mook generator open and it's clean. I'm going to throw some stuff in there. Well, what you can do is from a full character sheet, you can just drag stuff over. So if you want this Mook to have the brawling skill, you can drag it over there, and it doesn't matter where you drop it. It'll figure out that brawling is a skill and it drops it in. Now, Bog has it at a 14, but maybe this Mook is really only at 11. So if you want this Mook to have a high pain threshold, you drag that over there and it puts in the high pain threshold. Yeah, Bog has a spell, so I'll drop that over as a spell. And you can also drag equipment. So we'll We'll drag over this minor healing potion, and we'll drag over some copper coins. Does he have a ranged attack? Yeah, let's see. We'll drag over his melee attack and his pump shotgun. If you drag something it doesn't recognize, or an on-the-fly formula of some type, then it'll just put it in the notes. So remember, to get the weapon over, or to get any item over, you got to drag the name, not the usage, because that just becomes an on-the-fly formula. And of course, you can also drag notes over here. We'll drag bog isn't real, and it goes into the notes section. So then we'll test it. Oh, he doesn't have a name. We'll give him a great name. QWERTY test. Boom, he's ready to go. Create the Mook. There's your Mook with all of those features. So what you may want to do is create some kind of dictionary character in your character creation tool that has, you know, a wide breadth of skills and spells and attacks and advantages and stuff like that. And then just open it up and use it to drag into your Moocs to create them quickly. We've enhanced the Gca Export to better handle modifiers and move some things that were in the names into the notes so that the widths don't get so large. Thanks, Steve-ul. It also does some automatic parsing for self-control rolls. If it detects that it says something like 12 or less, it'll convert it into the on-the-fly formula for a self-control roll. So that's available in the download. The version is now GCA 10, so you can still run with the older version. That's fine. It'll just warn you every time you re-import. But you might as well upgrade. Come on. Who are we kidding? You love to upgrade. And of course, I can't forget my chat friends. I love the chat commands. Actually, I really do. With chat commands and on-the-fly formulas, you can really do a lot of fun stuff with the system. So we added in the maneuver or man chat command, which will allow you to manually set the combat maneuver. Now, you can only do this while you're in combat. I mean, it's combat maneuver. But you can type /man, and it'll show you all of the maneuvers. So it searches through the maneuvers, but you can use asterisks to indicate a wildcard, so you don't have to type out everything. So you could say star attack, star double. Of course, it's case insensitive, and that will set it to all-out attack double. We've added a few new functions to the show command, and that I found out wasn't documented. So if you don't know about the show command as a GM, you really should learn about it. Basically, you can show attributes or skills, fright check, move, or speed for all of the creatures in the scene. So if you're trying to find out who has the best perception, so you could say show perception, it's case insensitive. We do everything now case insensitive, just makes it easier. But you also want to see if, just for the heck of it, somebody has acrobatics, and you want to find out what everybody's move is. So it reports back, and these are on-the-fly buttons. So if I need to roll Honest Abe's perception, I can just click that button, and it will roll Honest Abe's perception. Actually, Alejandro's the only one who had acrobatics, and then this shows the basic move and current move for everybody. So this is a really useful tool for GM if you're trying to find out, all right, who's the smartest person, you know, on the field, or who has the best health. The show command is really pretty powerful. Okay, this last feature is for my really geeky chatting on-the-fly commandos. I got to come up with a better name for that. But it is an on-the-fly formula that allows you to test to see whether or not that character has a certain thing. And you can check for advantages, skills, attacks, melee, range, whatever. And so this particular formula says if you have the advantage high pain threshold, then you roll HT plus 3, else you roll HT. So this could be a great single button to know recover from knockdown or something like that. So if you look at Bog, you can see he has high pain threshold. So if I execute this, he gets the HT plus 3. But this fire elemental does not have high pain threshold. So if we roll it on him, he just rolls the HT. Of course, he has a pretty good HT. And last, and by no means least, I went out and updated the user's guide. It has been many months, and trust me, documentation is not terribly fun, but I tried to fill in all the chat commands that we were missing. Unfortunately, I still haven't gotten to the animation command, but all the new chat commands and on-the-fly formulas are documented. Hopefully that is useful for you, and as always, thank you for watching.